What's up? It's Way Up with Angela Yee, and Josh Pele is here. Josh Pele Magic is here with us today. Excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Okay, you don't sound like it. Oh, no, I'm kidding.
I'm just overwhelmed with emotion.
So when our producer, Dan, was proposing, one of the things, he had all these plans of like how he wanted to do it. And one of the things that his fiance loves is magic. And so we had a chance to witness you, doing some magic. And so I'm just glad that you're here because I have seen you all over the place. And just for people who are listening, like we've seen you just recently, Jaden Smith. You did his party. You've done magic for 50 Cent, which you can't mess that up. That's a lot of pressure right there. J Balvin, Mike Tyson, can't mess that up either. French Montana, Tiffany Haddish, Maya, just all of our favorite celebrities. So, kudos to you for everything that you've been doing.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, they're no Angela Yee, but they're up
stop
there.
it.
Maybe
So
they'll
good.
get there. The credentials are coming. It's just awesome to be able to do what I do, perform, make moments for people. I think that a lot of times I get asked, is magic real? And they're asking me, is the effects I'm doing real? And I really think that the idea should be more on the impact I leave on people. It's that no matter what you're doing, if you're having a bad day, a sad day, a good day, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes I have with you, you love me, you hate me, that's 2, 3, 4 minutes you're living in the moment, which I think is magic on its own. And the fact that I'm able to do that to anyone, regardless of circumstance, to me is what real magic is. So in that definition, I think that's the magic I'm able to bring, and I hope to do it as much as I can.
And you're also a mentalist. So can you explain for people listening, you're not just a magician, you're a mentalist. What is a mentalist?
Yeah, mentalist, it's definitely something that's trending lately. New kind of magic, I would say. With magicians, you hear things like sleight of hand, which essentially is skills that we practice. You get in the lab, you work on the routines, and then you go perform them, assuming that the trick is based on a sleight or a move. Mentalism, the easiest way to explain it would be the magic of the mind. So it's a type of magic, but it's more heavily on less necessarily skill-based sleight hand, which it does include, but now I'm also adding in a lot of body language, psychology, right? Trying to get you to think one way or another, or trying to see how you're thinking and incorporating all of those features. So cognitive psychology, human behavior, whatever the word is, different biases that there are, and just a little of everything there. So it's very more psychological based. It's a lot harder. When something is psychological, you don't have a guarantee that it'll work.
Right.
Versus with some magic tricks, it's kind of, if you do the move,
It's visual.
it'll work.
Yeah.
If you do it poorly, you'll get caught. That's another story. But at the end of the day, it works, which is one thing. But with mentalism, it's never guaranteed. You could be doing the same thing 20 years in a row, and you still never have 100%. You'll be pretty lucky. I mean, not lucky, but most of the time it'll be right. You'll be in the high 90 percentile, but there's always room for error in that way.
Now, what's so interesting is for people to understand how you got your start. I saw you were traveling to Italy. Is that what happened and started doing math? Like, can you tell us how this all started for you?
Yeah, that's it's the randomest thing people expect to hear. They come to me, they say, how long have you been doing magic? You must have loved it as a kid. You must have bought a kit. You must have seen a magician, which is how a lot of people start. You
Right.
see that moment when you're young, and to some, it goes away. They get into other interests. To others, they end up doing that as the career. And for me, I didn't really have that. I was an athlete growing up. I went all the way through my career, full scholarship, D1 soccer player. That was my life. I was going to be a pro soccer player.
And your last name's Pele.
Well,
Yeah.
Pele, yeah, that's where it comes from, because the soccer success, that's all I knew, that's all I wanted to do. I was going through school just to make my parents happy, and as soon as I got that degree, I was going to leave the country, go play pro. Got injured very early in my career, like after I graduated, so the pro career was very short. And then the Italy trip, I went to visit a friend. I'm relaxing in my downtime, kind of between activities, and there's kind of like this, a deck of cards on the table, because it's what people have in their coffee tables. And I grab it, I'm playing with the cards, just fidgeting, relaxing. I'm tired, jet lagged, and an idea comes to my mind. Now, I don't have context. I don't know if it's a good idea. I don't know if it's bad. I don't know if it's a magic trick. I don't know what it is. It's just something that came to me, and I guess my curious nature came out, and I just had to try it on strangers in the streets in a country that didn't speak English. But the reactions were really good, and it was enough for me to come back and make a career out of it. So thank God for curiosity.
Wow, you think that's a divine intervention to be sitting there? There's a deck of cards, and then just to be like, I want to do this in Italy where you don't speak Italian and they don't speak English.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I haven't thought of it like that. I think that as I continue my career and I see, again, the impact I make on people, and also it's interesting when I meet other people, there's a lot of people that have had several magicians, several mentalists, a lot of different experiences from big shows to small shows and that. And majority of the time I'm their favorite. And that's not, it's not to say my tricks are better or not. I know a lot of people that are much, let's say, longer resumes, better skills. I think that what separates me is that connection I create with people, is that interactiveness. And so that I think I've always had, that nature to be social, to interact, to have an experience with someone. And it definitely multiplies with adding on to the magic. People love me first and then that, as opposed to that magician was great. It sounds great on paper, right? Like if Angela Yee's like, oh, Dan, that magician was so cool. And in a month later, you're like, Dan, remember that magician? And Dan's like, yeah, he's so good. We're like, we should bring him somewhere. Well, he's a magician. Well, how are you going to find him? He's just a magician. Versus if it's like, what Josh did was amazing. We got a call. Now you know. So it's very important for me to always show myself first. I'm Josh. You like Josh. And you like the magic Josh does. So if the name is Josh, later on when you need something like that, you'll call Josh. If it's just the magician, that's when I get lost in the spreadsheets, the CRMs, the databases, and that doesn't go
Is it
very
weird,
well.
like people might want to hang out, like, they met you doing magic at an event, and then they're like, what are you doing later? And the next thing you know, like, you're going out for drinks. Like, how does that work? The social part of it. Because like you said, people like Josh, the person, and then there's Josh, the magician, and they're like, oh, I really, enjoyed him being there, because a lot of what you do is social.
Yeah, I think I definitely get cool invites. For example, yesterday I was doing a show, and it was New York's longest running magic show. It's called Monday Night Magic, and that's like a series of a lot of performers. So there's a lot of magicians that perform. So you come get dinner. You may have like 1 to 10 magicians come up to you in that hour and a half you're eating dinner, and then there's a show that you watch. It's a very long program. It's like an hour and a half.
Dan, did you go to this?
And
did you know about this? Would you go to this? Yes, he
should.
wants to go. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys should go. And now I'm one of the performers there, so now I don't mind talking about it. Before I was like, don't go there, go to my show. Now I'm part of it. And the table yesterday, actually, they had a few magicians at the end. They came up, they're like, we loved your charisma more than the other people that came up to us, and they invited me to go play soccer with them this weekend. I have to check when and where the time, but I get invited to things. I think for me, and the way it is my business grows from me being myself. So me being social always helps. You never know when you go to an event, right? Anyone could be a client. There could be someone has something for a party coming up. Someone's engaged. Someone's that. There's all kinds of events, and just being in front of them is very important for me. And by going out more, I increase my chances, my leads. And then when I do my shows, I usually get a lot of repeats because of what I'm able to accomplish in that time with them.
And even talking about what you're doing now with other magicians present, how competitive is that? Like, is everybody cool? Or is it more like, Josh ain't all that? What is that like?
There's the people that say Josh, like, I'm like thankful that my resume like has like a very big presence. If someone says Josh ain't all that, and then they see the names that I performed for, the TV appearances, then they start to hold themselves back from comments like that, because they probably are trying to do things like that, and now they're like, oh, but how does he do that? I think when I first started, when I came back from Italy, maybe it was the wrong group of magicians, but the very few that I interacted with at the time weren't very open to me wanting to talk magic. I wasn't asking them for secrets or how to do tricks. I was just interested in just talking, just like a subject, and they were very mean to me, and I think that kind of threw me away from wanting to meet other magicians. And I just was like, I'm gonna put my head down, and I don't like, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm twice as likely going to do it. I just love doing stuff when people tell me no. Like, people say I can't
wait
do
to
it.
circle the block and see you again.
Yeah, like if someone says I can do something, I'm like, yeah, I'll go do it. But if someone says I can't, I'm like, oh, I'm really gonna go do it.
Now I'm gonna do it, and yeah.
And from there, I think, because I just put my head down and started grinding, the magic wasn't quite there. I mean, when I got back from that, I knew one trick, but the business side, I'm like, I'm going to meet people. I'm going to tell people I do this. I'm going to sell myself. I'm going to push myself. And then the accolades, the resumes, the videos, the content started coming. And now, I want people to be close with, because I'm starting to get a point where I'm overbooked. And so if I have 2 shows, I want to have friends that I could say, hey, I have a really good show for you, and I could send you there. And I've started to make a good number of friends. And I think with this new show too, I'm going to hopefully make some new friends there where we could help each other feed. Magicians are not very nice in general. It's not a good industry. Everyone's kind of full of themselves. It's really easy to remember, to think that you're like, I don't want to curse, but you're the ish because of the impact you do. But at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. It's the magic tricks you're doing. It's not you. And I think a lot of magicians let that get to their heads, and their egos flow and keep growing over time with that. And I think it's just bad, because we could all eat. There's always going to be more demand than we can supply, especially because we're such a specific thing. And so by working together, there's so much growth. So I want more magician friends. I want more people. I want to help them. I want to get them more shows where you can do
this
so much.
This feels like a TV show in the making already. Like a
yeah, honestly,
show.
magicians are like a reality show, but just not a very interesting one. Like the drama is just boring. Like I think people would watch and be like, "That's just so dumb," and like you're kind of lame. But like it's just.
What do you think is like the ultimate? I remember when I was at Sirius, I interviewed Chris Angel, and that was like a really big deal, you know, when that happened. But like being in Vegas and having like a residency there, what do you think for you? If you had to think to the future, like what do you want?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And a lot of magicians, that's their dream, to get a residency in Vegas. And I perform in Vegas every year. I go down there. That's one of my residencies I have. Vegas I do every year. Miami I usually get to do every year. Mexico has been one of the last few years that I've done. I think that I have a stage show. You guys haven't seen it yet. I'm excited for when you do come to see it. But I like doing it. I wouldn't mind a stage show, but I also don't know how full-time I'd want a stage show. Like I don't want to be limited to a city.
Right.
For me, I love going to Vegas and performing and then coming back to New York.
Is that the best money you think in Vegas? Or in my head it is, because I feel like people go there.
I think because of the product you're offering, the money can be anywhere. You know, like there's magicians in New York City. There's that they pay like venues like $30,000 a month in rent just to do their show twice a week.
Sheesh.
And they make that much money that they can afford like $30,000. Like
we're in the wrong business.
They're just magicians, and they're paying $30,000 in rent a month, or like, yeah, it's about 30. I know another guy. I know he has a deal with a hotel. He pays them $500K a year to run the show on twice a weekend.
That is crazy.
So and you can do it in New York. It's really getting the demand, getting the ticket sales, getting the name. I think you could really do it anywhere. It's all. But that, again, like the magic stuff, it just comes down to business. You could be the best magician in the world, make no money. You could be a terrible magician, honestly, make a couple $100,000 if you really are good at the business aspect.
Who's been the most fun? Like, I know people probably ask you this all the time, but like, what are some memorable experiences that you had? Because you've done a lot of private events.
Yeah, I think some moments that stick out to me. Jaden Smith, the first time, I did 2 birthdays of his that were about a year apart. The first one was cool because in the video, he like he's freaking out so much that he's like smacking the guy next to him, which is the security guard of the club. And that security guard ended up becoming one of my really close friends. And I did like his sister's, his sister had a baby. I did their shower. So it's kind of cool. Like we connected over that moment. Like I freaked out a celebrity and he got to be the person that got smacked by the celebrity, which is, I mean, to some people, that's a very cool moment. Like Jaden Smith was smacking me, not you.
He beat me up.
That stands out to me. Performing for you stood out, which is fun.
Oh, come on.
Well, it did because of the timing. Because randomly I had done Mano before, and when I saw you guys talk about me the next week, that was just a cool thing to like just randomly wake up to. Like Dan's like, "Hey, we talked about it in this show," and I'm like,
"Yeah,
what were you saying?" And I was like, "Wait, this is like amazing," because I don't know like how many of my friends, like a lot of my friends love you, but I don't know how much of the people throughout my life. And I had people like from high school, like I haven't talked to them in years because I haven't really seen them in high school, and they're like, Angela Yee saying that's insane, and I'm getting texts from like high school people because Angela Lee like Yee like my magic, and I was like, that's just a cool thing. Like I haven't had anyone.
I'm happy to hear that.
Well, I didn't have anyone. I don't think I've had anyone from high school text me about any of the other names like that. So that's a unique one.
It's just a random like we're talking about it.
Yeah, another one would be Saquon Barkley. He's huge right now. I have a video of him saying Josh is the best magician there is. And that's right after I did a trick for him and his mother.
That's why them other magicians don't like you.
Well, I don't know if they've seen that clip yet, but that one was good because it was a great trick. It's one of my best ones. I think it gets a really powerful impact, and I did that with him I did it for his mother. So not only is it a good trick, I'm doing it for his mom, and he literally stood up and ran away. He left. He walked away, and then he came back. And with all of his success, congrats to him. That's always a good clip, right? When with magic, it's like, if someone that you perform for is doing really well, you could repurpose that content. If I have a video that's old with someone, and I repost it when they do something, right? If you're a UFC fighter and they win the belt, I post a video.
Yeah, perfect timing.
If it's their birthday, if they start a new show, if they do like a really big achievement, like go on the Way Up show, like that's something worth posting.
You are so good at this. I have one more question too, and before we get into some tricks.
Yes.
Do you think anybody can do magic? Can anybody learn it, or is it something that you feel like, because we've all seen tricks go wrong too, and I'm sure there's people who have tried it and they just gave up. Do you think that it's something that anyone can actually become good at?
Yeah, 100%. I firmly believe anyone could be a magician because I think there's a big distinction between a magician and what I do. Because
Right.
I'm a full-time magician.
Right.
To do magic full-time, that's a whole nother. But that doesn't come down to the nitty-gritty of the magic. That comes down to everything else. The networking, the business, the selling yourself on a very hard product to sell. It's not the most straightforward thing.
Yeah, like how do you get even started? I'm sure if anybody wanted to do it, it's like, where do I begin?
Yeah, where do I start? How
Yeah.
do I get shows? How do I
And like you
convince
said, it's
people?
not easy to get like a mentor in the business.
Yeah, and then it's also like, you know, when you're first getting started, you tell people what you do. You're a magician. They're gonna ask you, okay, what if I hire you? What are you gonna do? you don't know. Like, how
Right.
do you explain what you do or
Yeah.
how? It's not the most trivial thing. But in terms of doing tricks, I think that in my mind, if someone knows a trick, they're a magician. If you ask me to teach you a card trick and you learn it and you can go do it to your wife, your husband, your friends, you're a magician.
We can put
That's
that in our bio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you are already a magician, but we're gonna add to your toolkit in a moment.
Okay, well let's. I want there to be because I know we're on the radio, so we want to make sure that there's some things we can do that are visual, but I want to do something also that people listening can follow along with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think today we have two tricks. We have something mind reading into the mentalism, and then we have a very fun magic trick.
Okay.
And the cool thing about this magic trick is that everyone back home listening can follow along. So if you're listening right now and you have a deck of cards on you, take a moment and grab them. We're going to start with the other tricks, so you don't have to worry, but have the deck ready because this is going to be a fun trick for you all later. But before we do that, we're going to get into a little mind reading mentalism.
Okay.
And the
I
way
don't like this.
not many people do, but I do have
It's like what women want.
an envelope that I brought today. And for the people that can't see, I'm going to literally dictate. It's a white envelope that says gift. And this is literally a gift for you. And sometimes when we're doing mind reading, we want to set that tone. We want to set that imagery up. So everything I'm going to be saying out loud, people can at least picture it at home. They don't need to necessarily be in the room with us. So I want you to imagine you're going to go to like a daily test, like a grocery store. Can you imagine yourself driving to that grocery store?
Okay.
Whatever clothes you might wear, whatever car you might drive, whatever maybe trinkets you have in the car. Sometimes people have like the air fresheners and the keychains hanging. I don't know if the word, but you can kind of see all the little things that describe you, how you customized your car driving to that grocery store.
Okay.
And imagine how long that trip is, whether it's a short trip, you're in and out, or maybe a little bit of a drive, depending on where you live. You park your car. It's a good day. Sun is out. It's great weather. You have a spot right in the beginning. So you're happy. You're already off to a good start. And you get out. You go into that grocery store. And you're shopping around. And you're buying maybe food that you like. Maybe things that you have on your list. Maybe things you want to try. Something new. And then you're going to go to the candy section. You have a sweet tooth this day. And you don't feel like cookies or chocolate. You want like some kind of candy. And I want
Something
you to,
fruity.
maybe something fruity, yeah, chocolate or fruity, and you're looking through the candy store, and I want you to visualize as you're looking at that aisle buying an item. Can you see that aisle? And you see how many options are there? Probably.
I'm trying to think. What would I want?
No.
Okay.
Gotcha. And you remember that item. Okay, and you're going to pick it up, and you're going to buy it. Okay, now what I'm going to have you do, I'm going to have you close your eyes for a moment because I want you to visualize it. So I'm going to take out the gift so she doesn't see. And you picked up that item, okay? On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes and say that item that you bought, okay?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Nerds gummy clusters.
Nerds gummy. To everyone back home, I have Nerds gummy clusters. Okay, great. So you see Nerds gummy clusters. That's good. But we also have here, for those that don't see what I have ASMR. We have these M&Ms. Now these M&Ms are for you in a moment. And remember, you're getting Nerds gummy clusters. Is that your favorite candy?
No, it just was what I felt like.
Okay, great. So you'll feel that. You'll grab that. What other stuff might you grab?
Candy or other things?
Other things, anything.
Ooh, I'll probably get some ginger beer.
Ginger beer, good.
Okay. What else would I get from the supermarket? Oh, fresh ginger.
Fresh.
Because I love that. And I have a juicer at home right now.
Good. And some good things. Juicer's good. Fresh stuff. Now, again, we were looking through with Dan earlier. We were saying we need to buy a gift as well. And Dan, with me earlier, had these gifts with you. Do you remember your other gift?
My other gift?
The gift that you needed to remember.
Oh, yep. I
that no
remember
one
the
else
number I
knows.
picked.
You have a gift.
Yes.
Yes, there's one more gift for the audience back home. Angela picked another gift to add on to the gummy clusters and the ginger and that. And what was the gift? Say it.
It was, I think it was Swedish fish.
M&Ms. I'm holding M&Ms. She said M&Ms. That's autocorrect. I'm sorry. It was Swedish fish.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, we could No, I'm kidding. Swedish fish. Do you like Swedish fish?
Not really, but it's what I picked on the number.
Okay, so you
with a
picked
number.
them. Could you cup your hands for me? Do you like M&Ms though?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rip the M&Ms and I'm going to pour in the Swedish fish that are in the M&Ms. For those back home, we had Swedish fish in the M&Ms.
Can I eat these?
Yes.
No. You know what's crazy? I also want to know, how did you manage to have that packaging? So it looked like a fresh pack of M&Ms. It's a M&Ms package, but when he opened it, all the Swedish fish poured out. And before we started, you asked me to choose a number.
Yeah, choose a random list of sweets.
A random number, and the number I chose was 63, and that was a completely random number, and it says Swedish fish next to that number. And here they are. I feel like if I eat this, it's good luck. Is it?
That's what Dan would say.
Is it, Dan?
He said it.
They're fresh too, and nice and chewy. They're not the stale tasting ones.
They're the only
That
the best
was amazing. I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, it's not looking good.
Thank you. Now we get the fun part. The audience is on their toes. We've got some mind read. So now we're going to do a trick where everyone back home, hopefully you have your deck of cards, can join us. So,
okay.
Angela, I have a deck of cards for you, and I'm also holding a deck of cards. Now, for you, I made it easier. I sorted them in pairs.
Okay.
And for anyone back home, all you're going to have to do is grab 4 pairs of cards. So, for example, a pair would be like a 2 of hearts and a two of diamonds because they're red. You could choose any 4 pairs you like, and you could just drop them onto the table. So everyone back home, whatever 4 pairs you like.
Oh, you know I got to pick the queen.
Yes. You can't pick yourself, but we'll allow it this time. And everyone back home, once you have your pair, split them apart. So for me, I'll make an easy example. I'm using ace 2, 3, 4, and I'm using the other color, the same color. So the hearts and the diamonds, the ace 2, 3, and 4. So you'd want to split those up. So one pile, ace 2, 3, 4, and then the other pile would be the opposite, the pairs.
So like this?
Yes, just like that. So once you have your pairs split up, you can take one pile, so ace 2, 3, 4, and you could organize it any way you like. So however you want to, but make sure you can see that order. Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Good. So you want to do it in that exact order. So just like that. Great.
Maybe I could switch it up a little.
You can switch it up. So that's going to be there. When you have one pile in a specific order, make sure that the other 4 cards, the pairs, are in that same order.
Okay.
So match that up as well.
Hope I'm being a good student.
You are. As long as they're the same. So in your case, you have Jack 2, Queen 4, and then Jack 2, Queen. And you could square up those 2 piles.
Okay.
Right. And everyone back home, hopefully you're following. And you could put either one on the other. Put one on top of the other. Doesn't matter which one. Now, you could pick that up as well. For those of you back home, there's this thing in cards or casinos called cutting the cards. Are you familiar with cutting the cards? So what
Definitely
you do,
played blackjack.
You hold it like this in a dealer's grip, and you could take a chunk of cards and you could put them to the bottom, and just like that. That's how we're going to cut. So you could do as many cuts as you like, taking a chunk from the top and putting them in the bottom. Do not shuffle or mix. We're just doing clean cuts. Perfect.
Okay.
Great. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take the top card and we're going to put it on the bottom.
Okay.
Very good. Now the next one, we're going to take the top 2 cards. We're going to hold them as one, and we're going to put them to the bottom.
Okay.
Great. Now we're going to take the top 3 cards.
2, 3. Okay.
Hold them as one. Yep, square that up.
Oh.
Okay, and you could put them anywhere in the middle, anywhere you want. Just like that. Great. And now that top card, leave it aside. That'll be our card for now. Great. Now, what we're going to do, this is your choice. You could choose 1 card, 2 cards, or 3 from the top, and that'll be in one pile again.
Okay.
And you could make sure they stay together. You could put them anywhere in the middle. Just like that. Good.
Okay.
Now, that top card, you can replace it with a card in the deck. So the top card in your hand, you can move it aside. Okay. And you can grab another card from the deck. From your deck right there. Right
from this deck.
Yeah, the cards that weren't in play.
Any card?
Yeah, just take a random one and put that on top. Okay. Hopefully, we didn't get rid of your partner. Now that we've done that, again, this will be your choice. You can do 1 card, 2 card, or 3 cards from the top, however many you like, and just put them away. We don't want them.
Put them
away.
anywhere?
Yeah, just
Okay.
anywhere. We'll grab that. Now, this is a trick about pairs. And Valentine's Day was recently. And Valentine's Day is about love and romance. So we're going to do this. We're going to take the top card and put it to the bottom as we spell romance. So what I mean by that is the top card, we put it to the bottom. That'll be the R. And then the next card will be the O. And then the M. And then the A. Then the N. Then the C. And then the E.
Okay.
So we're kind of forming this romance. And hopefully back home you're following along. Now again, partners and Valentine's is about romance and it's about love. And maybe for those younger audiences, you might not know this game, but there's a game called She Loves Me. With the rose petals, you pluck them saying she loves me, she loves me not. So what we're going to do is we're going to play that game. When it's she loves me, we put it to the bottom. And if she loves me not, we get rid of it. So we'll start. So she loves me, the top card goes to the bottom.
Okay.
She loves me not, we just take the next top card and put it away. And then we keep going. She loves me not. She loves me not.
Why is this my last card?
She loves me not. Well, because we did random number of cards.
Okay.
It was 1, 2, or 3. So everyone might run out earlier or later.
I was like, wait, what did I do?
But once you keep going through she loves me not, once you have one card left, you just leave it with your pile. And on the count of 3, everyone will turn their cards over. 1, 2, 3.
Ooh,
We have
pair
a
of
perfect
fours.
pair.
That's amazing. How did
And everyone back home, whether you did less or more cards, you should also have a pair.
Now, how were
with
people
you.
supposed to follow along and do that trick?
Well, I was very clear. It's in the tricks.
No, but I mean, like, this will work for anybody.
Will work for anyone. If you take your cards and you listen to what I say, then you'll do it. So again, what we did was we had the 4 pairs. So we split up the pairs. So 2 piles, basically the same, right? I'll use my example: ace, 2, 3, 4. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4. That was the order I wanted the first pile. So make sure your other pile matches 1, 2, 3, 4, and square both piles up, and then you can put them on top.
So
of each
my
other.
cards matched what your cards were doing. Also,
You did
like in the
yes.
beginning.
In the
when we took
beginning,
it.
the 2 pairs
Yeah.
are in the same order. So
Okay.
if in the first group of 4, your 4 was the second card,
Right.
and the second group of 4, it's also the second card. So
All
the
right,
2
now this is just
pairs
interesting. I want to make
match
sure
up.
people do it right. You also have to know how to spell romance.
Yes,
in
but
order to
we
be able
did
to
it.
do
We
this
did
trick
it. We
properly.
did it together. So when you play it back, just listen and follow along, and you'll see each step that we did.
That's amazing.
The only things everyone might be different is at the beginning when we were cutting the cards, you might cut once, someone else might cut a few times.
Right.
That doesn't matter. Then the next step, we took a card, everyone followed along. Then we did 2, everyone followed along. Then 3. Then I gave choices. So that's why we were off, because I said you could do 1, 2, or 3 cards. So if you did that,
I thought I messed up. I don't even understand how this works. You know what I mean? Like, I know people are like, how does that even happen?
Yes.
And the second question I have is, can you gamble then? Are you able to, like, are you good at doing that?
Depends on how good my disguise is on the day.
Because it feels like I don't know. Is counting cards part of this, or
Counting cards is not part of this, but gambling, it's legal to count cards. You just don't want to be making too
caught.
much money.
Right.
Well, it's legal, so you can do it, but
they can
depending
also
on-
ban you?
they
if
can.
you-
It's their choice. They could warn you, they could ban you, or they could do other things.
That's
that-
crazy. I don't even
that
understand
shouldn't be
how that
mentioned.
worked. I'm gonna have to do some research. You know me, Chat GPT. Why did this work?
Yes, well, we had a perfect match with
Yeah,
you, with
you
me,
did.
and anyone that followed along. If it didn't work for you, you're just bad at listening to instructions.
Can I look at the other cards?
Yes, you can. These were the
Okay.
ones you used.
Okay. All right. This looks real.
Yes, they're. You could do this with any cards, anyone back home, whatever. Even if you sometimes I get calls and people say, "Hey, can you do a trick on FaceTime?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I ask them, "Do you have a deck of cards?" And sometimes people tell me, "I don't have any cards. I have Uno cards." If you have Uno cards, you could also do this trick. Follow along the same way. Again, your pairs have to match. So if you picked a reverse, then the pair would be the reverse. If you picked a 2, the pair would be the 2. So any deck of cards, Uno cards, playing cards, if you have other card games where you could make pairs, this trick will also work for you.
Sheesh, this is amazing.
Thank you.
I don't even know how that worked, but how is it when, like, you're in an event and people are sometimes can be a little drunk and rambunctious while you're trying, and you know what I mean? Like, has that ever been an issue?
Yeah, I mean, you have those groups and you just kind of make sure you don't do that person privately. Like I wouldn't want the drunk, rambunctious person one-on-one, but
Okay.
2-on-1, 3-on-1, 4-on-1.
Because
if they're
everybody
with
else
their
can
friends.
calm it down, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But a lot of times, you know, the drunk person at first, it's just their drunkenness acting. It's not them. And so when they see the trick or when they're amazed, they're suddenly a big raver. Like I've had it be like the case where, you know, I might be leaving a club and I'm talking to the doorman because he's my friend. I'm saying hi. And, you know, this group of like maybe like 2 girls and a guy will come out and they're friends with the doorman. The doorman's like, oh, show them something before they leave. And this happened to me about a week and a half ago, but this does happen a lot. And I don't know the guy, I don't know these 2 girls, but I'm showing them a trick and the guy's like, she's married. She's I'm like, and the doorman's like, just relax, bro. Like, because he knows them. Yeah. They're not random. I'm like, oh, just let me do the trick. He's like, well, no, she's got to go. And the girls are like, just let him do the thing. And I do the trick. It's amazing. Like, do it. Trying to tell the guy to watch a trick. And he's like, nah, I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. And then he does a trick.
That's
and
a
he's
red
like,
flag,
and then he does the trick and he's like, did you see that? Do it again. Do it. Now he's like,
now
5 minutes later, he's like, he wants to stay. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want them to leave. He's like, let's do more. Like it's not the person per se. That's just how magic is perceived. There's not really a frame of reference for magic. There's no such thing as what's good magic, what's bad magic, what is magic. Like I said, if I come up to you and say, hey, I'm a magician, you don't really know what that means. People usually only seen TikToks or TV or, you know, editing.
You're like, where's my wallet?
Yeah, that one. That one you got to be more sneaky on. But yeah, you just got to show them. I think that's what I do is I show it very well that what I'm doing is not whatever you think magic is. And I actually never say I'm a magician. That's my whole thing is when I approach someone, I just do it. And by the time it's done and you put the 2 and 2 together, you realize that what I did is fun. It's not whatever would have went in your head if I had just said I'm a magician. Because that way I'd get a lot more rejections.
And one last thing I want to ask you, are there new tricks that you come up with or are there things that you learned that already exist? Or what's the combination? Like, how do you
It's a little of everything. I like to create. I always create new stuff, especially, you know, as I'm growing my brand right now and I'm doing a lot of stuff like this, like, you know, I wouldn't want to be doing the same tricks on radio and podcasts and TV. I also don't want to be doing my generic ones. I also don't want to be doing ones I always do. So I always try to come up with something cool, something fun, something that would really enjoy for the team. I come up with my own stuff. I tweak old things. I add in things at times. Like I might be impromptu. You know, like yesterday, I have a trick that's one of my regulars is where I make the cards disappear. And I'm going around a room and I'm doing that trick. And then this one girl just had her phone so open. I stole it. And then I pulled it out of her friend's ear as a joke. I was like, hey, look. Behind her ear, and they're thinking I'm joking. I'm like, oh, it's your phone. And then I'm doing the trick, and then I didn't really just do that as a joke, but this time I took it again, and I was like, oh, look, it's back there. So then for my mind was like, when I got to the point where I'm doing a trick where the cards disappeared, I was like, what if I take her phone a 3rd time? Because now I can make a joke like, do you know where they went? And they're like, no, where are the cards? And I point to her, I was like, oh, are they behind there? I'm like, yeah. Oh, no, it's your phone again. I'm like, wait, what? So I threw in like a little gag, a joke into that trick, which made it a new trick. It's fun. I'm not necessarily going to be doing it that way all the time.
Right, but it was fun. It's kind of like being a stand-up.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
a way. You adapt to the crowd.
I think my magic's very, you know, the equivalent of like crowd work and comedy would be what I do. I'm very impromptu. I don't plan a lot of my things. I don't know what I'm going to do or say. I might know the tricks. I don't know how I'm going to present them. I feel it for the crowd. Younger crowds, I might be more jokes, more flirty. Older crowds, I might be straight to the point or less talking. Maybe they can't hear or maybe they just wouldn't understand if I'm joking. So I just don't want any confusion. Yeah,
right.
So
I saw the one where it turns into a goldfish where you...
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one sequence that I'm the best for.
Oh, wow.
He ran away.
He ran away for that. What happens to the goldfish after that?
I have an aquarium at home. So I have a tank. People are like, oh, that's animal. I'm like, he works for me. He's 1099. You know, we're good.
You know what? Since we said stand-up comedy, what about stealing tricks? I know that's a thing with comedians where people steal jokes. But what about stealing tricks?
I mean, you're going to see overlap with that. It depends. I think that if you're going to steal a trick, it depends on what the trick is. Because in magic, it's really hard to prove something's yours. It's almost impossible. Like if I create a trick and then you steal it, it's almost impossible for me to sue you because it's very, very hard to prove that trick is originally mine, that intellectual property on a magic trick. There's only like one case in history of magic trick, someone winning a IP claim, and it's very difficult because everything does come down to the fact that the basics, like the very fundamentals of it, goes back hundreds of thousands, if not thousands of years. Magic is very old.
It's been around forever. It's kind of like something that, like you said, no matter what language you speak, even if you don't speak a language, it's something that people can like look and still be in awe of,
Right.
even if they can't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And there are even like some people, their whole job is they're magic inventors, which means they're magicians that they don't perform. They're very creative people. They create magic tricks and then sell them to other magicians. They're like, I created this, buy it for me for this price and you could have it. You could have the trick and how it works and all the and like some of these are really good. Magicians flock to it. And so you might find a lot of magicians doing the same trick. Sometimes it's just a trick that's historic. Everyone knows it. Sometimes that's just the hottest thing on the market. Magicians are terrible window shoppers. Like you bring a magician to like a convention and they're going to spend so much money on tricks because the idea is like, oh, this is so good. I love this trick. I'm going to use it. I'm going to do it. And then you have a bookshelf of tricks that you haven't even opened. Like they're in the box. You've never even touched them. You
It's
get this,
crazy.
which is why I stay away from magic shops as much as I can. I sometimes need to if I need refills or stuff, but that's why I prefer to make my own stuff because I will go down a very bad spending spree and I don't have the space for all these things. Like I see things, I'm like, this is so good. This is great, but this much money and I'm probably not going to use it for a year. I don't know.
Right.
Even if I use it a month from now, that's already not.
Who would have ever thought of all this? And who would have ever thought you would have went from playing professional soccer to being a magician and a mentalist?
I literally spent my whole life and my family making their whole lives catered around training my legs.
Because that's not easy.
Well, my whole life went
family.
from like the whole family was completely invested in everything they did to train and prepare my legs for me to end up having a career that's very focused on my hands. I had never honed in on football or basketball or baseball or lacrosse, like no hand sports. It was soccer only. Everything, all the money we had was spent towards training and programs and diets. And then now I make money with
What
my
did they
hands.
think when you first told them this is what I'm doing?
Well, it was right before COVID. So as the interest peaked, COVID hit. So now I'm in my house just spending all day doing like random stuff. The only thing I really could do is like social media work. Now I do virtual shows and I have companies call me when they have like, say a team where some of the people are scattered, a Zoom call, and I do a full show for them because virtual magic, radio stuff is the hardest magic for sure because the visual plays a pack, but
But we do have a
cool.
YouTube channel, Way Up With Ye, so you could watch on there too.
Yeah, and I think that, then I was just doing all this stuff and my parents like, why are you wasting your time? Like, there's something that I didn't really have anything else to do. It's COVID. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
But they're like, why are you wasting your time, this and that? But then the checks started coming in and then they started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now they just don't even ask.
Well, it looks like the cards lined up.
Well, that's always good. Well, my job's easy. No, my job's easy. You see, I get all the credit, but you're the magician. You did that yourself. I didn't touch your cards. You did the trick. It worked. So I basically took credit for all your magic. So thank you for that.
You're a good mentalist. Well, thank you so much. And how can people follow you?
You can find me. I'm Josh Pele Magic, Josh Pele Magic. You can find my website, joshpelemagic.com. You can find my Instagram, my YouTube. And you could watch this show on YouTube because you're definitely going to want to watch it back and try the trick with your family, your friends, and anyone else.
And then we're all magicians.
And then when you go on a date, for anyone that's single, and you show them this trick, you'll probably get a second date. So
unless you don't follow directions
unless
and
you
mess
don't
it
follow
up.
But if you don't follow directions, it's very unlikely someone would want a second date anyway. But that's a whole other nuance.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's Way Up with Angela Yee, Josh Pele Magic.
Thank you.